It's football time in Tennessee.
Dobbs drops back, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught by Tennessee.
Tennessee wins!
Caught it by Tennessee. Jawad Jennings. What a turn of events.
Give him 6.
To the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Rock Solid Sports, the only show with a home field advantage for UT Athletics. Here's tonight's host.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Friday night edition of Rock Solid Sports here on 90.3 The Rock. I'm your host, Jack Foster, joined alongside producer Jace Brown for tonight. We got Riley Holtum across the glass, and that's not all in this first segment, as we're joined by a very special guest. We're joined by Chris Allen, who's the president and COO of the Tennessee Smokies, who are coming off the Southern League Championship. Chris, do we have you?
Yeah, how you guys doing tonight?
Hey, Chris, doing well, man. How's life treating you?
Doing good, man. Doing real good.
Well, obviously, as I mentioned, Tennessee Smokies coming off a championship year for them this past September. And I just want to know, what does the Smokies championship mean for this franchise? Obviously, you guys are moving to Knoxville soon, in Kodak as of right now, just for a couple more years. But just what does this mean for the Smokies and all Smokies fans here in East Tennessee?
Well, you know what? It's kind of a big deal. You know, a lot of times you win a championship at the minor league level, you don't think that much about it. Guys come to town, they play, they move on to the next level. But when it's been 45 years since your last outright championship, it's a big deal. Our season ticket holders were delighted. Our fan base is just ecstatic about this, and it comes in a good time. You know, this is our first outright championship at the ballpark in Kodak, with one more season left to play there. I was starting to wonder if we were going to get one, but we got that out the way this year, and maybe we can make it 2 next year.
Absolutely, and I'm going to kick it over to our guy Riley, who has a question for you, going off about the fans as well.
Sure.
Yeah, and kind of to that point of you're moving to Knoxville, how do you plan to reconnect with the history of the Smokies organization here in Knoxville, the fans, the history here in the city? How are you planning to reconnect with that when you make the move back here?
You know, it's a good question. We've got a ton of work to do. The fact that the Smokies have over 100 years worth of history of baseball in this area, we got plenty to feed off of. There's a number of things we're going to do. Certainly, we're bringing back the Knoxville name, dropping the Tennessee off the front of our name and going to the Knoxville Smokies, which is certainly one aspect. And then just capture the local history in the area with all of the great baseball that's been around there. Knoxville is obviously a sports town, as you guys know. It bleeds Big Orange. So we're hoping there's a spot for us to capture a little bit of the fan base there, which I think it is. The baseball team's always been, successful in the form of attendance when we were there before we left, and certainly over in Kodak, the fans have followed. And I expect our fan base to continue to grow. But that we've got a lot of work cut out for us to bring back some history, because there's been a ton of history with the Smokies and baseball in Knoxville.
Yeah, and going just kind of off a little different tangent, you know, every baseball season does have its ups and downs, and every team is going to see that. Was there any point in the season this year that you saw your team go out and perform and was like, man, we really do have a shot to go out and win the Southern League? Was there any turning point?
You know what? Really, from day one this year, we had so many prospects on our team, and I'd say about 2 to 3 weeks into the season, some years you can have some of the best prospects in the organization, and they just don't gel together and play well together. But we kicked it off probably a couple weeks into the season. We had Pete Crow Armstrong, who's the number 1 prospect with the Cubs, and he is so electric. It's hard not to enjoy watching him play. I think a lot of the other players fed off of his energy, and he kind of carried us through the first half and into the second half of the season. When we lost him to AAA, I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about our chances of winning at that point, because he's so good. I mean, he really is so good. He's going to have a great career at the next level. But with that said, I've got to give it to the Cubs. They moved a lot of guys up from high A, and we got some more prospects. And those kids got here, and they just kept doing what they were doing at high A and had success. And maybe it's one of those things, they were just out there having a good time playing baseball. And you can tell when teams are doing that, because you score a lot of runs and you see a lot of smiles on their faces. they really enjoy playing together. And I think that's why they won, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned PCA, and of course, it was great to see him, of course, make it into the big leagues this year. And he was a huge part of what you guys did early on in the season, as you mentioned. But Smokies have done a great job of getting guys elevated here in the past couple of years. I mean, we're talking Christopher Morel, Ben Brown, Matt Mervis, and of course, PCA this year. What's it like seeing, the Smokies' success these past couple of years and getting guys up on the ladder?
You know what? That's great. Obviously, it's wonderful anytime you see a guy that come through your system, come through your operation and make it onto the big leagues. We've been very fortunate with that over the years with the World Series team in 2016. We had 8 out of the 9 guys in the starting lineup in Game 5 had played for us in the past 2 years, which was pretty amazing. But, the Cubs are rebuilding. They've been in the process of rebuilding the last few years. And when you rebuild, naturally your farm system is stronger than your big league club. And I think we are just reaping the benefit of that right now. And it's starting to make the transition. These guys are coming up from low A and high A, making that trek through double and triple A. We're going to be strong again next year. I expect us to start out with a lot of the same guys that we ended the season with, because those guys just were promoted from high A. So I think we'll be very strong in the first half of the season. And, you never know. Might be able to get this thing two years in a row.
Yeah, and you talk about obviously the success this year and looking good for next year, but the Smokies were in the championship just a couple years ago as well. Won it this past year. We're in it in 2022. So what can you say about the stability of the Smokies right now and just how consistently good you guys have been and just the culture around the program?
It has everything to do with when you lose at the big league level, you can get a lot of prospects through the draft, and the Cubs have made some good decisions in the last few years. And we've had great coaching staff, and we had Michael Ryan, who was here for a year and a half and did a wonderful job. We had KG come in and they had midway through the season here and take over from a bad situation. Sorry about that, guys. I'm on a truck. My light just went out.
Oh no, it's all good, man.
But yeah. No, we've been very fortunate. We got a great coaching staff, and the Cubs are very supportive of us, and they want to see these kids learn to win at a lower level so they can carry that up as they go.
Well, I want to talk about the move to Knoxville here in a few years. Of course, the Knoxville Stadium that's going to be built in Old City. You guys are going to start playing in that stadium starting in 2025. Just want to get your thoughts on moving there and, moving into Knoxville, as Riley mentioned earlier, that history reigniting. You already touched on a little bit, but just what it means to play in a new stadium and to get back into the city.
You know what? It's something that since I walked in the building back in 2012 when Randy Boyd bought the team, it's been a plan and a goal of his to eventually, if the opportunity presented itself, to get the team back to his hometown. And that's something that came up the last few years. And we're excited about it. I'll say this, Sevier County and the folks in Sevierville have been unbelievable to work with, and they've been great supporters of the team. And I couldn't ask for a better relationship. So I am going to miss those guys and the folks who worked with there, but I'm looking forward to the new relationship as well. And, being right there in the heart of Knoxville with everything going on with what UT has to offer over there, it's just going to be right there in the heartbeat of the community. And it's a no-brainer. And this stadium's going to be simply amazing, guys. I think got a chance to see the renderings. You go from a ballpark that was, all in $20-some million to roughly $100 million stadium. It's hard to compare the two. And that's just the nature of where we're at in sports today, and certainly minor league baseball.
Yeah, and to that point, you talk about moving back into the heart of the pulse of Knoxville. How are you planning to connect with the community there, being so close to just the heart of the city?
Well, I think we have connected pretty well over the years. We haven't really lost too much of a connection. But our owner, look, Randy Boyd is everywhere. Everyone knows who Randy Boyd is. He's the president of UT. He's such a successful business owner. He's got a number of other businesses in that community. It's very helpful to have him as an owner because he keeps that connection strong and vibrant. But we're going to do a number of things, outreach programs in the community, get involved with the inner city programs. These are things that, we would do regardless, but certainly it's a great way to extend that olive branch and get the local support is, just getting involved in many great programs as we can get involved with.
We got Chris Allen here, president and COO of the Smokies. Of course, the Smokies, the AA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, based in Kodak, but moving to Knoxville soon. Chris, I'm curious, have you followed Tennessee Vols baseball at all here in the past couple of years due to that resurgence of the program?
Absolutely. We're big fans of Tony and what he's doing over there with that program. We actually have a porch out there in left field, had it for a couple of years, and
Awesome.
our staff loves coming to the games. And man, what an amazing program he has built in such short order.
Yeah, I mean, just the baseball scene in Knoxville right now. Got Smokies coming in a couple years, coming off a Southern League championship. Tennessee baseball been in Omaha 2 of the past 3 years. Man, this baseball scene in Knoxville is humming right now.
You know what? The sports scene in Knoxville's humming right now. I mean, UT sports are about as good as I since I've been here. I came here in 2012, like I said, and the football program's good, basketball program's good. They're good across the board. Women's basketball, everything's headed in the right direction. And we're happy to be a real small part of the sports scene there in Knoxville.
Well, Chris, before we get you out of here, got to get a prediction for tomorrow night. Since you're talking about Tennessee football and everything's going well, of course, Tennessee football's got a big game tomorrow night in Lexington against Kentucky. Who wins the Bortle battle tomorrow night? Who you got?
I've got Tennessee, of course. 28-7.
28-7. We even get a score. Let's go.
I love it.
There you go. How about that?
I love it, Chris. I love it, man. I mean, with the way the passing offense looked last week, the first half against Bama. Now, the second half wasn't that pretty, but first half gives me a lot of confidence for tomorrow night. And we're going to get into that after this quick break. But, Chris, appreciate you coming on tonight. Man, best of luck to the Smokies here in the near future.
Hey, thank you, guys. I appreciate being on, and good luck with everything.
All right, appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You too.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Rock Solid Sports. When we come back, a full Tennessee at Kentucky preview. We're going to give our picks. We're going to give the storylines, everything you need to know about tomorrow's rivalry showdown in Lexington. Coming up on Rock Solid Sports.
WUTK thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, sponsoring and hosting the Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the pregame and postgame location for UT football, and Knoxville's home for the NFL Sunday Ticket, Titans football on the big screen, and more. Rock Solid Sports kicks off Monday Night Football with the show's live broadcast from 7 to 8 Monday nights at Cool Beans. Cool Beans is 21 and over after 9 p.m. with a full and late night menu. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page.
The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols basketball program for their support. Coach Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols 2023-2024 home schedule includes games against Notre Dame, Ohio State, SEC foes, and more. AllVols.com. Student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. The Rock says, "Go Lady Vols."
The Rock thanks Knoxville Civic Auditorium and Coliseum, presenting WWE Road to WrestleMania, Saturday, February the 3rd, for their support. The WWE Road to WrestleMania comes to Knoxville for the first time in 4 years, featuring some of wrestling's top stars like Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, and more. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 3rd at KnoxvilleColiseum.com.
Hi, this is Travis
and Jason
from the String Cheese Incident. 90.3 of Rock, Knoxville's home for classic alternatives.
Yeah.
The Rock thanks Fieldhouse Social, the Wednesday home for Rock Solid Sports, for their support. American craft food, beer, and cocktails, plus a 25-foot big screen at University Commons Way. Fieldhouse Social welcomes sports fans and others alike to enjoy dishes like the citrus marinated chicken, grilled Faroe Island salmon, and smoked ribs. FieldhouseSocial.com or on Twitter and Facebook.
Volunteer Radio thanks the UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 9th season on the Summit includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. AllVols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, "Go Vols basketball."
Hey kids, it's Derek
and Rob from the Funhouse,
brought to you each Friday night by Raven Records and Rarities, located at 1200 North Central in Happy Hollow.
Join us each Friday as we kick off your weekend with classics from bands like The Descendants, The Stooges, My Morning Jacket, Mudhoney.
Newer stuff from Anal and the Sniffers, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Wet Leg, and Turnstile. You'll also catch some local stuff.
Hip-hop, Americana, metal.
Who knows? We don't even know half the time.
Every Friday at 8 o'clock, right here on 90.3 The Rock.
Hey, Jimmy from Out Loud Knox, how would you describe the show?
Music, blah, 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 blah.
The Funhouse is co-sponsored by your downtown destination, ScruffyCity.com.
The Rock thanks the Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, go Ice Bears!
All right, everybody. Welcome back into the Friday night edition of Rock Solid Sports here on 90.3 The Rock. I'm your host, Jack Foster, joined alongside Jace Brown, who's pushing all the important buttons tonight, including mine, Jace. No, I'm just kidding.
I had to take the role on that one.
No ill will tonight in the studio. All good vibes. We got Riley Haltom across the glass as well. If you missed our first segment, it was a treat. We had Chris Allen, President and COO of the Tennessee Smokies, of course, the AA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, on to talk all things Tennessee Smokies with us. Even gave a Tennessee-Kentucky prediction, picking the Vols to win by 3 tutties. So you love to hear that. But let's get into a full preview of tomorrow night's game. Tennessee at Kentucky kicks off at 7 Eastern tomorrow night on ESPN. Guys, just what's our feelings toward this game? Of course, Kentucky coming off a bye, but they had lost 2 straight. They got beat down pretty bad in those 2 before their bye week as well. So Kentucky hasn't played a really good game in a while, but Tennessee, of course, coming off the Alabama loss, a tremendous first half performance, was up 13 at the break, but squandered it in the second half. So, Jace, what's our feelings towards this game right now?
Right now, I'm just hoping that the guys aren't looming on that second half performance because, like you said, that first half we came out firing. Besides those couple red zone hiccups that we've been struggling with all year, I thought we looked in prime position to go down there and win that game. And it just got away from us in the second half. Bama had 27 unanswered points. And now, of course, losing Kamal Hadden for the season, it's not looking good for the defensive secondary. But I think we come in with a little chip on our shoulder, like we saw what we could do, but we couldn't finish it off. Maybe we come in with the mindset that, we know what we've got. Why not just go out there and finish? And I think that if there was a week to do it, it's got to be this week because, we're kind of teetering that line between, looking between 9-3, 8-4 right now. And there's still that high possibility in my mind of 7-5 still out there.
No, I agree with you. And, we'll get into Kamal Hadden a lot here in a minute. But, Riley, last week, something I keep telling everybody, and I know the second half is what happened, last. And that's what everyone thinks about when they think about that Alabama game. But, man, in the first half, we saw Joe Milton play the best 30 minutes he's ever played in orange and white. I mean, the Tennessee passing attack was firing on all cylinders. Jalen Wright couldn't go anywhere. Alabama had a great game plan for stopping number 0. It was all Milton, all Squirrel White. Ramel Keaton even made a great play. So I think it's important to remember that at least, Riley, we saw it happen. We saw good things from this Tennessee passing attack.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that success is a credit to Josh Heupel in that first half. He was letting them just play ball, let it fly, go down the field. And then you see what happened in that second half. He shut it down. I don't know why. Maybe scared of turnovers from Joe or picks, things like that. But absolutely shut it down, and that's why they lost. We see what happens when Joe Milton just gets to let loose, let that ball fly down the field. Good things were happening. That Squirrel White catch was probably the best all season. Maybe we had probably the 2 best catches of the entire season with that Squirrel White.
Yeah,
and then,
I agree.
And then the Ramel Keaton.
I mean, the Squirrel White catch against SC was like
that's up there too.
Was
that's
probably up there. But as far as just significance, because Tennessee was probably going to roll SC. Significance in that Bama game, those are really big catches. I agree. But yeah, so I think it's important to remember that we saw it work. But as Riley mentioned, it kind of all fell apart in the second half, and a little bit, weird circumstances right in the second half. Alabama scores on a 2-play drive. Someone calls a fair catch, which backs Tennessee up. They go 3 and out. Bama kicks a field goal to go down 3. And then the 4th and 1 play call. And that's what I keep going back to in the second half from the Bama game. That 4th and 1 play call, just shy of midfield. Gerald Mincey got hurt a couple plays prior. Dane Davis is playing right tackle. You run right from the shotgun with Dylan Sampson, who I love Sampson, but he's your smallest back, and you're trying to gain a tough yard. I don't understand just Josh Heupel's non-willingness, for lack of a better word. Just, he will not line Joe Milton up under center on short yardage situations, and I just don't get it.
Yeah, it drives me nuts because that happened. We were 0 for 3 on 4th down conversions against Bama or something like that.
Yeah.
There was 2 4th and shorts, I know for sure.
2 big 4th and shorts, and then the one at the very end, which didn't matter.
Yeah. Again, just hitting on that point that you hammered on, the just lack of even attempt to go under center with Joe, who's, 6'5", 250. Like, I mean, he can just go up and reach across, tuck it back in, go down without a scratch, I mean, it's an option that's always on the table, but yeah, just those like crucial fourth down play calls. And we have yet to see us go under center with just a huge body like Joe Milton is just blasphemous. And, we're not the only ones that are seeing it. Like, all these journalists covering the Vols see it too, and they are more than upset with them as well.
Yeah, it's confusing, confounding, if you're going to run the ball, fine, but why Dylan Sampson? And why to the right? It makes no sense. There was so much wrong with some of these fourth down play calls. Made zero sense. I mean, you got Jabari Small, everybody knows he's that short yardage guy that can punch it through. Even if you're not going to run it with him, if you're going to put Joe under center, I'd still rather have Jabari Small as a big body back there. It makes zero sense. The personnel made zero sense. That entire second half, I think, was just a disaster play calling wise. Shutting everything down, playing scared ball. It's never going to work, particularly against a team like Bama. It was a disaster from play calling standpoint all the way through.
Yeah, the first 4th and 1 was a Joe Milton design run, and I have no problems with that. I didn't like the decision on the first 4th and 1, but I didn't mind the play call. Whereas the second one's opposite. I liked the decision because you felt momentum slipping away from you, but the play call was just absolutely horrible. So that's something I got to see too moving forward, is just Tennessee better execution on short yardage situations, especially when it's 4th and 1, man. Riley, I know you've been high on this guy this year, Kamal Haddon. He's had a heck of a year. Was one of PFF's darlings this year about cornerback play, and he was definitely the best player in this Tennessee secondary so far this season, but he's going to miss the rest of the season with a shoulder injury. He announced it a couple of nights ago. How much of a blow is this to Tennessee's back end, and who needs to step up?
Man, no question. It sucked to see. I'm walking out of class and get on Instagram, thinking I'm just going to scroll for a second while I wait on my next class. And that's the news I see. It's like a gut punch in the middle of my day, but hey, it's going to be tough, and they're going to need a lot of guys to step up. I don't think there's going to be one guy. But if I have to pick one, it's going to be Danico Slaughter. Coming back, was a little bit injured towards the beginning of the season, kind of ramping back up. We saw what Danico Slaughter did last year. Hard-hitting guy. He's not really going to be one that's going to match up super well on the perimeter. I think he needs to be more of a nickel safety type player, just because of how hard he hits. And he's a guy that you want affecting the play. You want him near the ball carrier, trying to punch that thing out because he has the capability to do so. So that I don't think he's going to be the one to replace Kamal on the perimeter, but I do think he's one that's going to get more snaps as a result of the injury. Yeah, and like you said, I've just been so high on Kamal Haddon. I think this is going to be a major blow going forward for this defense. I think they're going to be less turnovers, which was part of the reason that defense was so good this first half of the season. So it's going to be a tough blow for Tennessee to overcome. Major player and a guy that I was really excited to see kind of have his career resurgence this season. It sucked that it was cut short in the way it was.
Yeah, again, just kind of hammering on what you guys said, just filling that hole that Kamal Haddon has left with us is going to be really tough. I'm not sure, like Riley said, I'm not sure if we're going to have just a one guy step up like that. I'd like to see Judy Lawley kind of take control out there. Since he is a veteran presence for the squad, maybe stepping up into that leadership role that Kamal has had. But again, it's just going to leave that big hole. Will that require getting some of our young guys out there a little bit more that we haven't seen this year? And is that a risk our coaches are willing to take right now? But yeah, it's just going to be a glaring hole for that defense. We're going to see, like Riley said, a decline in the turnovers, which has been making this defense looks so great. So I'm not excited about it.
Yeah, Danico Slaughter comes out, and that Jermaine Burton touchdown when he caught it right at the goal line. Remember, he had kind of found the gap in between McCullough and Slaughter. That was a completely, Slaughter was the reason that play was made possible. So Burton was able to really get the best of Slaughter down the stretch in that Bama game. So hopefully Slaughter can, be better with coverage. But as Riley said, if Tom, from a playmaking standpoint, definitely feels like he's the guy that could step up in that area. Wesley Walker as well. But Judy Lally, I think he's done a fine job as a starting corner here in the past couple of weeks. But, if you're going to be the Kamal Haddon level, he's going to have to take a step as well. Let's talk about this Tennessee-Kentucky game. As I mentioned, some trends for these teams. Kentucky coming off 2 losses and the bye this past week. Tennessee, of course, coming off the 1 loss. both quarterbacks have been not bottom of the barrel, but towards the bottom in the SEC. I said on my preview on RockyTopInsider.com, tail of the tape, go check it out, that not many quarterbacks in the SEC have worse stats than Milton this year, but Devin Leary is certainly one of them. He and Peyton Thorne have been at the bottom of the SEC in terms of every efficiency stat you can look up. Devin Leary has had a disappointing season. I think a lot of people were thinking he could be one of the SEC's best passers this year. Of course, the NC State transfer. Once upon a time in 2021, he was on fire, but it looks like his best collegiate years are certainly behind him. And this Kentucky passing attack, Riley, has not been that good. Feels like Tennessee's going to have the edge in that area.
Yeah, we tore apart Will Levis for his inaccuracy issues when Tennessee came and played. What was the last? I guess it was last year. Yeah,
Halloween.
We tore him apart for that. And Devin Leary is 10 times worse as far as accuracy goes. So if Tennessee is able to come up with 3 picks against Will Levis, they better do it times 10 against against Devin Leary, because of the way the absolute opposite directions that these two position groups are going. Kentucky's quarterback room going down. Tennessee's secondary going way up. They are much better than they were last year. And yeah, that Kamala Hadden injury is going to be a huge blow. But in spite of that, they should still come away with some big turnovers. Basically, to capitalize on that inaccuracy, capitalize on Devin Leary's mistakes, because that is where Kentucky makes its mistakes.
Right, and Kentucky has definitely tried to get one-dimensional. It's usually a negative, but Kentucky just wants to run the football as much as they can with Ray Davis. That's how they were able to just dominate Florida. Davis had 280 yards on the ground. This is the best player on Kentucky's offense. It's not close. Ray Davis has been one of the SEC's best backs this year, Jace, and that's someone that the Vols are going to have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think that's one of my keys to the game, establishing both our running game and stopping their running game. I mean, Davis is averaging 7 yards a carry, which is absolutely crazy. 7 games into the year so far for him, just that running attack from Ray Davis, because I mean the guys behind him aren't playing that much. I mean
it's a one-man back.
Yeah, he's got like 111 rushes. Next guy behind him's in the 20s in terms of rushing attempts. So getting to him is going to be big. Blowing up the Kentucky O-line is going to have to be a statement. I don't think Kentucky looked great last game against Missouri. I mean, let me pull up the stats here. Ray Davis did all right. 6.4 yards a carry, 128 yards. No touchdowns though, so they were able to keep him out of the end zone. And I think our defensive line and defensive front seven I think we can corral them. I mean, this is the part of the defense that I have the most confidence in, and I think most of us do.
Yes.
So I think we should have little to no problem at least corralling him. Maybe keep him under 100 yards.
Maybe. I mean, hey, Tennessee's rush defense has been really good these past couple of years under Tim Banks. That's something they've done pretty well, and it'll certainly be a big game for Aaron Beasley and Elijah Herring, too. I think that's a key name to watch in this game, of being able to slow down Davis, because he should be able to get in the second level quite a bit. But I'm confident in Tennessee's linebackers and overall rush defense to keep him at bay and not get gashed.
Right.
And, make Devin Leary have to throw the ball. Riley, Josh Heupel said this is going to be an old school football game. And I love that, because that just feels like Tennessee football this year, and that's the type of games we're going to have. Texas A&M, example A, I should say, and then, should have been Bama all game, was going to be an old school style football game. Bama just was able to put the points up in the second half. But yet again, feels like this game is going to be won at the line of scrimmage. Both offensive lines are good, but certainly feels like this Tennessee pass rush performing a lot better than Kentucky's pass rush.
Yeah, no question about it. I think the key to this game is controlling the line of scrimmage. It was a key point going into that Bama game, and you see that's why they lost. They couldn't run the football. They couldn't close the game out. Going into this Kentucky game, they're playing a much worse interior defensive line. They should be able to control the line of scrimmage with that offensive line. They should have Gerald Mincey back, I think.
Josh Heupel's hopeful, but we'll see. Never know about
hard to say,
Heupel.
but
keeps everything close to the vest.
He does, doesn't he? Makes it hard for us, but especially when we're out here trying to make these big sweeping predictions. But if they can dominate the line of scrimmage, let Jalen Wright do what he does, they will win this football game.
All right, I got a question for you guys before we make our predictions. If Kentucky wins tomorrow night, what did Tennessee struggle to do well?
I'll go off of what I just was going off of. establishing and stopping the run game on offensive and defensive sides of the ball, respectively. Like we said, they don't have the greatest defensive line in the world. I think we can exploit that with the running game. And like Riley hit on, we didn't in the second half, and that was a big part of how we lost that ball game last week. So I think establishing the run game with the three-headed monster, I think that shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've been running over the better defenses in the SEC. Had 231 against A&M, who's got a great defense. I don't see us really struggling on that. Again, it comes down to, can we stop Ray Davis in that big blue rushing attack?
Riley, what you got?
Yeah, I think got to hammer this home. It's going to be that secondary. If they can come up with some picks, they will win this game for the Tennessee Volunteers. If they can come up with some turnovers, capitalize on Devin Leary's mistakes, which he is going to make. He's done it all season. He will continue to make those mistakes. You just have to capitalize on it, particularly when Tennessee's pass rush with guys like James Pierce Jr. and Tyler Barron in the backfield, making him make these decisions quickly. The secondary has to come up on their end, make some big plays.
Yeah, I love that answer. I think if Kentucky wins tomorrow night, it's simply because Tennessee committed more turnovers. I'll guarantee this right here, right now. If Joe Milton plays clean and is turnover-free, Tennessee doesn't lose.
Absolutely.
I just don't see a path. If Joe Milton does not turn the ball over, Tennessee wins this game, and they may dominate. So, I mean, Kentucky's defense hasn't been great at forcing turnovers. They're susceptible to the pass. Their front seven isn't overwhelming. I mean, their defense just is fine, but it's not that great. Tennessee should be able to have success. But if Milton regresses from last week and we see the A&M version and he's, committing some turnovers, it could get dicey. But right now, I just don't think that's going to happen. I'll go ahead and make my prediction right now before you guys do. I got Tennessee winning by 14, 31-17 on the road in Kroger Field. Jace, what you got?
All righty. So, again, I'll hit on it. Establish the run game and stop the run game.
Yeah.
Make Devin Leary uncomfortable. I think the Vols, if they can do those three things, they should be able to get out of there with a double-digit win. I'm rolling 30-20 Vols.
Give me 34-17 Tennessee Volunteers. I just don't see a path in which Kentucky wins this game, like you were saying, Jack, as long as Joe Milton's playing clean football. And we saw him play the best game he's played all season against the hardest defense all season. I say he keeps it rolling and the Vols roll.
And something I guess we should mention before we go to break is just, if Tennessee wins on the road, I don't really count at Vanderbilt last year, but this will basically be Tennessee's biggest road win since LSU last year. I mean, we have not seen Tennessee.
Bar none, yeah.
And Lexington's not a tough environment. It's not something you fear, but it's at night. It's on the road in the SEC. Right. So you got to want to see Tennessee put it together on the road. I think that'll happen tomorrow night and give them some good momentum going into the rest of the season. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Rock Solid Sports. When we come back, we're going to recap Thursday Night Football. It was a pretty good game, and then we're going to talk some more NFL storylines leading into Week 8 here on Rock Solid Sports.
Volunteer Radio is supported by Fieldhouse Social and University Commons. Hosts a Wednesday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Fieldhouse Social serves American craft food, beer, and cocktails. Featuring UTN Pro Sports on digital TVs around the restaurant 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. FieldhouseSocial.com and their Facebook page for news and more.
90.3 The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department for their support. The 2023 football Vols will play home games at Neyland Stadium against SEC rivals South Carolina, Georgia, Texas A&M, and others. allvols.com for info, with a link at wutkradio.com. UT student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. 90.3 The Rock says, go Vols!
Non-commercial, non-corporate, college radio. Thank goodness. That's what you got to do. Shake things up. 90.3 The Rock.
The Rock thanks to Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2023-24 home ice season from October through April includes games with Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets at KnoxvilleIceBears.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says, go Ice Bears! Volunteer Radio thanks the UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 9th season on the Summit includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. Allvols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says, go Vols basketball.
The Rock thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the campus headquarters for food, brews, pool, shot starts, sports, and more fun. Tuesday night is team trivia night, and Thursday nights are for bingo. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page for more info.
The Rock thanks Knoxville Civic Auditorium and Coliseum, presenting WWE Road to WrestleMania, Saturday, February the 3rd, for their support. The WWE Road to WrestleMania comes to Knoxville for the first time in 4 years, featuring some of wrestling's top stars like Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, and more. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 3rd at KnoxvilleColiseum.com.
This is Dane Funky. You're listening to 90.3 The Rock, bringing Knoxville new music first.
The Rock thanks the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols basketball program for their support. Coach Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols 2023-2024 home schedule includes games against Notre Dame, Ohio State, SEC foes, and more. AllVols.com. Student ticket info is at bigorangetics.utk.edu. That's TIX. The Rock says, go Lady Vols.
Hi, this is Derek and Rob from the Funhouse. It was brought to our attention that our show and the things that we do could be seen as childish and not funny, sophomoric, vapid, stupid, and a complete and utter waste of time.
We strive to bring you the most entertaining radio that we're capable of each and every week.
So won't you please continue to support us and the station? Tune in every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. only on 90.3 The Rock. The Funhouse. Syphilis free since 2013.
Stop by the Funhouse Friday nights from 8 till 10, only on 90.3 The Rock.
The Funhouse is proudly sponsored by Raven Records and Rarities and Happy Holler, providing Knoxville with vinyl and more for nearly 40 years. And by ScruffyCity.com, your downtown destination.
All right, everybody. Welcome back into the Friday night edition of Rock Solid Sports here on 90.3 The Rock. I'm your host, Jack Foster, joined alongside my guy, Jace Brown, who's producing for us tonight. We got Riley Haltom in the hizzle across the glass, and we've had a fun show for you guys tonight. Just previewed, I should say, Tennessee at Kentucky. Big game tomorrow night over there in Lexington. First segment, we had the president and COO of the Tennessee Smokies, Chris Allen, not to be confused with the winner of the 8th season of American Idol, Chris Allen. But definitely,
why did you know that?
Chris Allen from the Smokies we had on, and that was a lot of fun. You guys American Idol fans? No?
Back in the day, I remember some like Philip Phillips and like some Scotty McCreery at some point, but besides that, it is a wash for me.
That's all my parents. I ain't a big American Idol guy myself. I'm just getting into reality TV again. Like,
some cruddy, reality TV, like some Survivor and stuff. You can't really beat that stuff on a weekday with no football.
That's what I'm saying.
See, I'm the opposite. I was huge into reality TV as a kid. Like, I was a diehard American Idol fan from ages 6 to 13.
See, I was always big on like The Amazing Race for some reason. Like it would always just come on just some random CBS afternoon, and I would just jump right.
I was like way too young watching Big Brother. Like I had no business watching Big Brother that young, but I was, and I just just reunited with Julie Chen earlier.
There you go.
Was watching the 20th season just to jump back into some reality TV.
Well, American Idol was goated until it wasn't. It was pretty good there for a while, and the Chris Allen season was good too. But anyway, let's jump into it. Let's jump into some NFL talk, gentlemen. We had a game last night on Amazon Prime. Glitchy as ever for me last night.
I didn't even get to watch it.
You didn't?
I didn't. I was at a like I said,
You're not committed to the craft.
No, I got dragged in by some coworkers going to some like Taylor Swift preview party. Like I said, the album was supposed to drop at 12. I left at 12.
Look. I know Taylor Swift is a part of the NFL now, but we're going to refrain right now, okay?
Yes,
Jason?
yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to go that way.
Yeah.
I just had to lay that.
How dare you? But I hope you did your homework to talk Bills Bucks. I expect that you did. Riley, I'll kick it over to you first. Bills get the dub last night to improve to 5-3, dropping the Bucks to 3-4. Bills win 24-18. It was a pretty good game. Had some good offense going on. Not really a Thursday night dud. I wouldn't put in that category. But what were your thoughts from last night's game?
Yeah, it was interesting to see how Josh Allen was going to respond to that loss last week. Absolute stinker against the Patriots. It was ugly. 1-5 Patriots going there, and they beat the Bills last week. So it was interesting to see kind of how the Bills were going to respond to that, if they were going to respond well, or if they were going to kind of get beat out by a inferior team again, as they do usually. We talked about it on the Cover 4 podcast. Quick shout out, y'all go check that out. It's on Spotify, all of that. We talked about the Bills playing down to the level of their opponents, and I think they did that again, but were able to come out with it in the end.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought the Bills looked really good early, and I thought it was going to turn into a rout because they were clicking to getting Dalton Kincaid involved. They were running the ball well. Josh Allen was running all over the place. Gabe Davis, what a game from him. But it just, fell flat in the second half, Riley. It felt like they were trying to do way too many weird stuff with their offense, quick releases that were unnecessary. They should have slowed the game down. And, the Bucs couldn't really move the ball all that well. But, yeah, it did feel like the Bills were still not firing on all cylinders, Chase, last night.
Yeah, you brought up Gabe Davis. I have him on like 3 of my fantasy team benches right now. Dropped like 24 for me while I had
Brutal.
Mike Evans out there throwing up 13. That really ruined it. But yeah, like Riley said, these Buffalo Bills do have the tendency of playing down to the opponents. Granted, Tampa Bay has been putting up some fights early this year, still competing for that NFC South crown right now. Of course, they lost to the Falcons a week ago. In a pretty solid low scoring matchup, but again, just Buffalo being able to carry it out, despite Chris Godwin missing just a basket throw of a Hail Mary to end that ball.
What
game,
a Hail Mary throw!
It was perfect.
That was perfect.
Right in the middle of everybody. It's just like Chris Godwin forgot to look up and see the pass. But
I mean, how often do you see a Hail Mary hit the ground without touching anybody?
Not often.
I don't even know if I've ever seen that.
No, and there were like 8 guys in the end zone too.
Right.
Which is like the more blasphemous part of it. It was just there was like a 2-yard spacing between the two groups, and it landed right in the middle there. It was crazy. But again, Bills being able to pull off a close win at home against a team that they should have won, but I think at least 10 last night covering the spread. At least able to pulling it out at home. I think it's pretty big. Maybe they can get back on track after that ugly win last week, as Riley mentioned.
Riley, we all know the AFC is loaded with good to great teams. And, some teams have become elite this year, like the Dolphins. Some teams have underwhelmed, such as the Chargers and the Bengals, but still a very deep conference. Fill in the blank. I'll put you on the spot. The Bills are the blank best team in the AFC right now.
Tough to say. I'm going to go with 4.
Fourth. So you're putting Chiefs, Ravens, and who else ahead of them?
Miami.
Yep. Putting Miami, even though the Bills beat
even
them
though they won the head-to-head,
by like 28.
Even though they won the head-to-head, I think right now Miami is the scarier team to play.
What about the Jaguars? Jaguars beat them heads up.
It doesn't matter. I just said how I don't care about head-to-head matchups. I don't think the Jags right now, they're a little too inconsistent. I'm going to put them just right below the Bills.
Jace?
I'm going to have them at 3rd. I think they can, I don't think the Ravens have like made that jump yet. I do think the Ravens are a solid squad, but I do think the Chiefs and the Dolphins, again, still outpacing the Bills just a little bit, despite the tail whooping that we saw the Bills lay on the Dolphins. If that Dolphins offense can just continue to stay healthy, granted they haven't beaten anybody this year. That's the one thing that's questioning me. But if they can keep that offense just anywhere near healthy, despite Devin Achane not being available, they can get Raheem Mostert going. They are always going to have Tyreek Hill going. I still think that they can make some fireworks go.
I'm not going to push back on Dolphins over Bills that much. Yeah, it's fine. But Dolphins over Ravens, to me, is kind of crazy.
I don't know.
Like, Ravens obliterated the Lions 38-6. The Dolphins haven't beaten a good team. And they lost by 4 scores to the Bills and then 2 scores to the Eagles.
I mean, the Lions, like, we haven't seen them just, like, overwhelm anybody this year.
They beat the Chiefs.
That was week 1. The Chiefs haven't lost.
Riley, help me out here. Right? Ravens over
lost
Dolphins at this point, right?
Oh, I'm all the way on the Ravens train at this point. I think they kind of had some iffy. They're another team that has kind of played down to the level of their opponents, and I think a lot of their success depends on how their wide receiver core is feeling that day. because we've seen some absolute terrible outings from that group. And then we saw some like this week against the Lions where they looked really, really good. So a lot of their success depends on that, because right now they're not able to run the football well with the guys they've got. Gus Edwards is their running back one. And we can talk a little bit about what the Ravens might do with that position later. But I think for now, I'm fully on board with the Ravens, and I would probably put them as it's probably second best team in the league.
Even with them losing to the Steelers, though.
Wait, in the league?
In the AFC.
In the AFC, I agree. Yeah, I mean, divisional opponent, that's always tough.
It is. But they laid one on Cleveland, though.
Yeah.
It's just like
Look, the AFC North has always been this way. The Steelers are always going to win tough games, and the Steelers are never going to be flashing. You're going to be like, how'd you lose to the Steelers? Well, the Steelers play just good ball, and they're a very well-coached team.
And the craziest thing is they're 4-2 right now.
Exactly.
For me.
And,
absolutely mind.
I mean, this happens every year. I don't know why we're surprised at this point. But
it's that Mike Tomlin, man.
Yeah, man. He's awesome. He's one of the best coaches of our generation, no doubt about it. Riley teased it a little bit. There's a big day coming up in the NFL world, and that's Tuesday. It's Halloween, and that's the trade deadline. And I believe it's at 4 Eastern, maybe 5 Eastern, but we could see some big splashy deals go down Tuesday. And in my opinion, if we're going to see some splashy deal go down, it's probably going to involve the Tennessee Titans. Riley, I want to get your thoughts on this as the resident Titans homer. Lots of Titans have been thrown around in these trade talks. We've already seen them move Kevin Byard to the Eagles, but we got DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, some names going around. Do you see the Titans making a move before the deadline?
Absolutely. I think there's several moves that they need to make because at this point, it's becoming glaringly obvious that Ryan Tannehill is not going to lead you to a Super Bowl. Your window for him is closing. Your window for that defense is closing. Your window for the offense is closing. It's time to blow it up and reset. That's the point the Titans are at right now. And it's becoming increasingly obvious week in and week out that they're going to compete against every team, but they're not going to win many games because they don't have the talent to win many games. So at this point, reset, get young guys in the draft, and first and foremost on the chopping block, sadly, and it pains me to say this as a Titans fan because we love him and we want to see him as a Titan forever, but it just is not realistic because I want this guy to win a ring, and that is Derrick Henry. We got to get him out of here. We got to get him out of Tennessee because he absolutely needs to be on a winning team because his window is closing as one of the top running backs in the league. And he needs to go to somewhere where they can make full use of his strengths and his just pure talent as a running back while he still has the health to do it as he is getting older. So maybe we see Derrick Henry get shipped off to the Ravens is a name, that's been thrown around quite a bit. Maybe the Eagles, maybe the Dolphins, maybe even Tampa Bay. Is kind of a dark horse contender there because, they want to upgrade from Rachaad White and they want to try to win this NFC South. And I think they could do that, or they could do with an upgrade at the running back position.
Yeah, and it's twofold, right? Because you talk about Derrick Henry's window closing as a player and you want to see him go somewhere where he can win. Well, the NFL is a business. So if you look at it from a business perspective, how difficult is it going to be to ship a 30-year-old running back? Like that age number, 30 is just so disgusting.
And his price tag.
Right, yeah, his price tag's, of course, a factor, but it's going to be much easier, I think, to ship a 29-year-old running back. And I know it's 1 year, and it sounds crazy, but I really feel like that age number carries a lot of weight when he turns 30. So now feels like the time. I agree with Riley. As much as Derrick Henry has done for the Titans and as great as he's been, I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer in my eyes. Feels like the Titans should get rid of him. Riley, I'll kick it back to you. What do you want to get for Derrick Henry? What do you think would be a great a return to the Titans in any deal they make for Henry?
See, this is where Titans Twitter just I just can never get on the same page with them because a lot of them are wanting first or second round picks. I don't think you can get more than a day 3 pick for Derrick Henry.
Not even a third rounder?
I don't even think you can get a third rounder for Derrick Henry at this point. He's too old and people know the Titans are wanting to sell. People know the Titans want to get rid of players, get some picks. And they know they're not really in a position to bargain for anything. So I think realistically, you see Derrick Henry shipped out of Tennessee for maybe a 4th and maybe like a pick swap, a 7th for a 5th or something like that is kind of where I'm at. That's where I think it's at.
Wouldn't you repeat that? A 7th and a 5th round pick swap? Is that what you said?
a 7th for a 5th.
Okay.
Like moving up from the 7th round to the 5th round.
Yeah. Wouldn't you like that? Just feels like pennies to me. Wouldn't you just rather not trade him?
At this point, no. See, and at this point, I think.
I
you
get
need
unloading
anything.
his price tag, but
You need any help that you can get to start this rebuild. And it's I at this point, as a Titans fan and as somebody who's watched Derrick Henry since he entered the league, I want to see him have success. I want to see him go to a team where he can be successful, and he's not going to have that in Tennessee for a long time.
well, that's pretty wholesome of you, Riley. Gotta give you credit there. I'd like to see him with the Ravens. Him and Lamar would just be other level nasty.
And we've seen it. There was that picture that came out, before when, the whole drama with Lamar's contract was going down, and it was DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry and posted up with Lamar Jackson. All the Titans fans are thinking, yes, we can bring Lamar to Tennessee. Right now it's starting to look like maybe we had the script and we just read it wrong. maybe it was all laid out for us and we just read the situation wrong, because maybe we see Hop get shipped out too.
Yeah, which would be kind of wild because, just became a Titan. So always interested to see what Hopkins says. But Jace, any other trades you see going down? Any other players we should keep an eye out to? Maybe they're on the move ahead of the deadline.
I was talking to you in the break about this, and you brought up a really good point about Dalvin Cook talking to the management at the Jets, looking for a way out of New York right now. Because, with a guy that's been an All-Pro within the last 2 years, not getting the reps that he's always had when he was at Minnesota, not getting them now with the Jets, and wanting a way out. I think that's a name to look out for. And you had a interesting destination for him picked out, right?
Was it Dallas?
Yeah.
I think Dallas should try to get a running back if they can. It just doesn't feel like Pollard has the same juice as the lead guy, and with this workload, don't know if Henry's a good fit because just I don't know how much he can bring in the passing game. I think they'd want someone to kind of develop that area as well. But I think Dalvin Cook would be a great fit in Dallas.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, that Pollard's not really living up to what we were really thinking that he was going to do this year. Granted, still playing well, just not to the caliber that we thought. Dalvin Cook could come in and take some of that pressure off of him. But I'll go back to it. Like I was saying, it's just so crazy that we have two all-pro running backs looking for a way out right now.
Exactly.
It's absolutely crazy.
And I feel like people know Henry still has some in the tank, but it feels like the word is Dalvin's just completely out of gas. I don't subscribe to that theory. It just feels like the year hasn't gone his way in New York, of course, and Breece Hall is just so much better. Breece Hall is one of the best backs in the league as far as talent goes, so you got to give him the rock as much as possible. Get Dalvin out of there, see what he can do at maybe another contender. As for me, I want to see the Chiefs still get a receiver. I just want them to try and get a wide receiver. I know Hopkins was, a name that was flirted around with in the preseason. He obviously went to Tennessee, but the Chiefs could get someone like Marquise Brown. I think that would be such a win, and he'd be so much fun in that offense. Ultimately, don't think it's going to happen because there hasn't been a whole lot of buzz around it, but something to keep an eye on that would be definitely pretty splashy in the trade news. Okay, let's shift gears here. Let's keep it Titans themed, though. So we're shifting gears from the trade talk, but we're keeping it Titans themed. Riley, Sunday, we will see a new starting quarterback for the Titans making his first NFL start. That is Will Levis, the former Kentucky Wildcat, in his rookie season. He'll be donning the Oilers uniforms in Nissan Stadium. How pumped are you for Will Levis to make his Tennessee Titans NFL debut?
You heard my feelings on Will Levis when we were talking about the Volunteers earlier, talking about that Kentucky game that they played last year. I'm not excited for Will Levis as a Tennessee Titan. I wasn't on draft night, and I'm not now because I don't think Will Levis has what it takes to make it in the NFL, to be an NFL starting quarterback. He's just not on the caliber of some of the other guys, and that's why I think, picking a quarterback outside of the first or 7th round is kind of a waste. But it's very obvious now that the Titans are looking at the future. I think that's become increasingly obvious, with Malik Willis getting some time and now Will Levis going to be getting some time. Both, I think, need to get time in this game because right now you don't really know what you have in either of them. I think a little bit more about Malik, and that he's probably not the guy, but there's that you've seen those little glimpses that make you hope. But you don't know anything about Will Levis, and so I like that he's getting the start.
So you do. I know you're a Malik Willis guy, kind of. So you like that Levis is getting the start.
I do lean towards Malik Willis out of the two of them, but that's picking a rotten apple from a rotten orange.
I got you.
You don't really want either of them. You want a reset and, a shiny apple straight off the tree like Caleb Williams, but that's not super realistic either. So it's, what do you do with until you can get a guy like that? I like that Malik Willis is getting that Will Levis is getting the start, a chance to I just want to know what he is. I don't want to know if we need to start that quarterback clock over again, because the Titans went through 1 billion of them in the early 2010s. So it's a question to see, will that clock restart and will they have to go back to this quarterback search again, or is Will Levis really just this diamond in the rough that Mike Vrabel was able to polish for out of nothing,
right?
Because that's what he was in college as far as quarterbacks go. So I don't know. I do like that Will Levis is getting the start, and I do think that there's a chance that he can be something in the NFL. So I need to see it play out on the football field. Is he going to be that guy?
Well, even if Levis and the Titans stink up the joint Sunday against the Falcons and lose, at least they'll look good doing it, because those Oilers uniforms, man,
they're slick, man. I love them, and I like
field.
That. I like that. I like that. Derrick Henry is going to be around at least for this game.
Exactly.
So Titans fans get that fleeting moment of just getting to see him in the Oilers uniform. We'll have that moment we can carry with us forever after he's winning championships in Philly or Miami or wherever else.
Well, we got a couple minutes till Funhouse takes over here on 90.3 The Rock. We're going to give one lock and one upset for NFL's Week 8 slate. Jace, I'll kick it over to you. Give me a lock and an upset for this week's games.
Lock this week. I've got Texans over the Panthers this week. I feel like that's kind of an easy one for me, just because the Panthers just aren't great. And with this Titans talk, I've got Titans at home over Falcons for the upset. They are not favored at home, and we've always see those home dogs always come out to play. So I think that trend continues.
Riley, lock and upset.
Let me lock in Baltimore over Arizona. I was just bragging on Baltimore. Don't think Arizona has the juice to get over that hump. And for an upset, give me Cincinnati over San Francisco. Since San Francisco favored by 5 right now, I think with the injuries, since he might be able to sneak one on them.
Man, I love that Titans upset pick. I've been leaning more and more towards that here in the past couple of days. But for my lock, I'll take the Chiefs over Denver. I just don't see a way the Bears win that football game. And then for the upset, y'all made it tough on me. There's not many options left. PJ Walker, 2-0 in his last 2 starts. How can you not take them over Seattle? I don't know. Just don't really feel it. But I'll take the Colts. It's a little bit of a cop-out because they're only 1-point dogs, but I think they get it done at home against a New Orleans team. All right, that'll do it for tonight's edition of Rock Solid Sports. We got Funhouse coming up 8 to 9, so stick around for that. For Riley Haltom, for our producer Jace Brown, I'm Jack Foster. It was nice hanging with you guys tonight, and we'll be back next week.